YouTube, and welcome back to Tactical Newbie, the channel where a newbie like me gets into all things tactical. With the funny movie introductions out of the way, per usual, like we always do, let's get right into today's video. So today's video, I'm going to be bringing back around the low budget loadout segment of videos. For those of you that are not familiar with the low budget loadout segment of videos, it's essentially a segment of videos where I provide to you, the viewer, a low budget clone option to an otherwise more mainstream, popular Gucci product or loadout or specific brand. In most applications, the low budget loadout is essentially a 360-degree review and highlight of specific price points where I can provide to you, at least the viewer, a budget-friendly or low-budget option to the more mainstream Gucci manufacturers. So that way, in some instances, you can get kind of the style or similarity to that specific mainstream manufacturer while not necessarily having to drop all the dough that some of these specific plate carriers, battle belts, and pouches, you name it, tend to run. But with all that rambling out of the way, today's low budget loadout video will be highlighting my Emersongear AVS build. Essentially, for any of you that at least watched last week's video, I essentially provided in my budget build video, which was last week's video, a full build out, at least video, of that specific Emersongear AVS setup. Essentially, that specific setup is a direct clone / knockoff of the Crye Precision AVS Plate Carrier system. I am just kind of getting at least a little bit comfortable with the whole AVS setup. Full transparency across the board, the Crye Precision AVS, at least plate carrier configuration, is very, very expensive across the board. So at least one of the pros about this kind of highlight and at least mock overview of the knockoff variant is, again, if you're kind of into the AVS for the most part, you're kind of into the load bearing availability that specific plate carrier has and kind of the style and anything like that. Even if style is not necessarily important in training and everything like that. This video specifically can provide to you at least a budget-friendly option to go that route without necessarily having to drop $1,000 when you're looking at the front and back plate bags, when you're looking at the actual harness system, and then your rear, zip-up panel drop leg. At the end of the day, when all things are all said and done, you're looking at spending $1,000. Well, in this specific application, you have the availability to spend a little bit less. But with all the rambling out of the way, because I did ramble quite a bit, and this video is a little bit lengthier than most of my low-budget loadout videos, I will cut it short from here. And with all that being said, I will see you guys on the other side. Alrighty guys, and away we go. So this is the Emersongear AVS Plate Carrier System. Retail price for the plate carrier and the harness is $171.25. Obviously not taking consideration for any additional variations in tariffs at the point of when this video is being viewed, and any type of shipping and handling charges. All in all, at least this specific plate carrier system is a direct knockoff of the Crye Precision AVS Plate Carrier System and adaptive harness. Just want to kind of do a little bit of a brief mock of history with the AVS system. The Crye AVS was basically released or debuted in 2012. And it was aimed to offer the military a scalable system that could range from low-profile carriers to full assault configurations. Eventually, the AVS would go down to replace the modular body armor vest system and become a premier armor system for the military special forces, and obviously sold as individual components. That's kind of one of the nice things with at least that kind of mock background in history. The AVS has kind of had a prestigious, at least, shadow in the plate carrier game, especially having such a long and at least established history in warfare. It was definitely a plate carrier system that I was definitely interested in featuring, but one of the hardest parts in actually wanting to try to feature this specific plate carrier, at least in the Gucci market, going directly from Crye Precision, you're going to be looking at probably, in all intents and purposes, dropping at least bare minimum of $800, $900 when all things are said and done with shipping, handling, and for the front and back plate bag and the adaptive vest system. So it is a expensive plate carrier on the Gucci side. So if anything, this specific knockoff variant from Emersongear could at least provide you at least a cost-efficient clone alternative option, with also a kind of a wide variety of different color sets than at least the standard ones that Crye Precision tends to offer, which is essentially black, multicam, coyote brown, and ranger green. But from here, we'll kind of do a mock overview of the overall quality. The overall quality of the AVS, at least coming from Emersongear, is actually fairly top-notch. A little bit of back research on the actual material. Don't quote me on this 100%, but at least from the research that I could find on the internet, Emersongear at least manufactures their knockoff variant plate carrier systems with authentic multicam material that is in fact licensed and isn't any type of mock knockoff. At least this is from some of the information that I did get online, which is why you do get at least a multicam insignia on the actual products, front and back plate bag, as well as components of the harness system. So all things taking into consideration, essentially you, at least to the best of my knowledge up to this point, you are essentially paying for at least quality multicam 500D Cadora material, and essentially saving labor in basically R&D and manufacturing, obviously utilizing Chinese slave labor to essentially build a lot of their products. Coming from here, we'll take a look at the front flap retail price, or at least the front essentially flat placard. Retail price was $28.19, I believe. Essentially, this is a direct knockoff of the Crye Precision AVS Detachable, flap for the M4 edition. Just a little highlight, the going rate for the AVS Detachable M4 flap that holds the 3 magazine inserts, or at least the 3 magazine pouches. Starting retail price for that, at least new from Crye Precision, is like $120. So obviously you're saving quite a few total bucks, spending something closer to like $28 for a similar flap system. Now, full transparency, with most of these newer style loadouts that I do tend to feature that are direct clone knockoffs of a specific loadout, only time will tell when I can actually get the actual Gucci product in my hand to be able to do a legitimate tactical comparison, part of the tactical comparison segments that I do feature on the channel. But until I get the other cross product in my hand to do a little bit of actual cross research between both of the products, essentially a lot of these items I'm kind of dealing with the first time, which is always kind of the fun part with doing the low budget loadouts, because I'm essentially kind of learning about these products as I kind of go, and kind of do at least the brief overview and review of the specific loadout, and not so much a direct comparison of any of the at least components specifically, because those are generally saved for the tactical comparison segments where I do one for one of all those specific components. Essentially from here, just kind of taking a look at the under, at least the front plate bag, kind of see the under configuration, very similar to the standard AVS front and plate bag. From here, we'll work our way over to what appears to be at least closer in line to a Faro Concepts dangler knockoff, obviously from Emersongear, based on the screenshot that you saw over in the corner. It says that it's kind of for the AVS JPC type setup and configuration, but all things considered, at least to the limited research that I have at least looked up thus far, haven't really found, at least from Crye Precision's at least primary webpage, a dangler pouch of this similar kind of shape and model. So at least to this present point, until I get a little bit more information and can actually get a little bit more time available on my hands to do a little bit more additional research to kind of see what this specific dangler pouch is a direct copy of. But all things considered, it is at least in the matching Multicam Arid, which again I did not really highlight in most of my rambling up to this point, but the whole point of this specific loadout was aiming for a Multicam Arid type loadout. Obviously, for those of you that are kind of watching at least my videos up to this date, you're kind of going to see that there's a general kind of theme with a lot of my low budget loadouts, at least up to this point. I have kind of a variety of different color sets with a variety of different knockoff clone copies of specific Gucci manufacturers. So with that being said, this one's I did kind of like the color set of the Multicam Arid, so it was kind of the new direction I kind of wanted to showcase with the new sweetness, with the new AVS system. So that's the route that I'm deciding to go with, that kind of gaming for, like I said, Multicam Arid and then offset black to kind of match with the interior of the harness, which highlighting from here, the side of the harness, basically full transparency, the actual harness configuration is sized medium. What I am kind of noticing with my kind of frame and dimension, that the size medium fits me generally to its max point across the board, and that goes for a lot of the plate carrier systems, at least the specific cummerbund systems more than anything. And even, I would say, even the plate bags when it comes to, like, just width of my chest and everything like that. So with that being said, the AVS, at least harness system, is a little bit snug in configuration. So I have it at its, basically its widest, or at least largest setting. I did implement or kind of install these, at least buckles on the side. They are of just the standard Multicam quality. I am going to get black ones to replace that, so be on the lookout for that in future reviews. But in the interim, it's just the Multicam ones, just to kind of keep everything nice and snug, because based on the configuration of the AVS system, you do have to take those tabs and you do have to slide them into the rear side of the front plate bag, and then you either got to have some, they do, at least this specific Emersongear product comes with Velcro tabs that you can kind of, with like C hooks or G hooks, that you could essentially hook into the actual harness tab configuration and kind of use the other Velcro end to kind of Velcro the unit in. But for me, I just felt that the buckles were a better route to go, so that's what I decided to do. From here, taking a look at the interior of the this harness, we have these knockoff variables of the Crye Precision pads that can be actually Velcroed and adhered to the interior of the knockoff or even non-knockoff Crye Precision or AVS style harness system. Retail price for that set is a $34.40, obviously plus tax and any additional tariffs and shipping and handling. But essentially, they are kind of a knockoff clone variant of the same variety that Crye Precision sells, which are like essentially like $82 or $85, I think, for the most part. So again, like I said, with most of these low budget loadout videos, essentially just providing you at least ways to be able to get a similar looking, at least, product with some at least close or consistent quality, at least in possibly material or overall at least general usage, but not necessarily having to drop most of the price on, the overinflated costs that you tend to pay for most Gucci products, especially something as prestigious as the AVS system, which, considering how long it's been around, you would think that they would, reduce the price at some point, or maybe introduced a new plate carrier system. But to the best of my knowledge, I think the AVS is going to stick around for quite a while, at least for the next couple years, unless somebody's heard something otherwise. But as I was kind of going with the general sizing, the AVS harness within itself is a medium. The entire plate carrier configuration comes in a medium, so it does hold standard 10 by 12 sappy cut style plates. I think you do have a little bit of space in there to kind of work with probably a slightly bigger style plate. Don't quote me on that, because at this present point, I do not have plates in them. I just have foam backers and no actual legitimate plates up to this point. Going back to the quality, I know it's this far along. I am very, very impressed with the overall quality of Emersongear's products. Stitching across the board looks pretty top notch. I can pretty much say that I wouldn't be surprised if any of these things have any likelihood of at least breaking, rupturing, or anything like that down the line. It seems to be on par with some of the better quality material that I've seen with a lot of these type of knockoff clone manufacturers. So it is quite promising to see that for that like at least base template of like $175 for the harness and for the front and back plate bags, that I essentially get a product that's pretty good. From here, we'll take a look at the back zip-on panel. Retail price is like $43.74. I did feature this on a at least previous at least low budget loadout, I think, for my knockoff Cryedex JPC 2.0. With that being said, again, doing kind of the cross comparison and overall quality, I can say that that the AVS system might end up becoming one of my newer favorite plate carrier systems, kind of possibly even superseding the JPC, at least possibly. It depends. Overall comfort's very good. One of my biggest gripes is just that the AVS harness is just within the realm of my frame. You know, if I were to gain another 10-15 pounds, I think my overall waist and structure would be kind of a little bit too big for that medium AVS vest system. But comfort-wise, I can say, at least up to this present point of just trying it on and kind of doing some mock movements and some mock dry fire in this specific harness and plate carrier system, it is very promising. It is very promising in the comfort levels that it does provide up to this point. The AVS, at least structural system, does hold pretty well. Keep in mind, obviously, I don't have this thing kind of maxed out in any regard when it comes to kit. For most of you that do follow the channel, you do know that most of my low budget loadouts do then follow up with like a low budget update a couple months down the road as I kind of build out this specific plate carrier system. Obviously this is just full LARP, 110%. I have no shame in saying that. I am a gear guy through and through. So it's 100% for the LARP and the fun of the game. But at least up from here, we can at least do at least a mock showcase of at least how this specific plate carrier system fits on my frame. Like I said, all things considered, for that medium style, at least plate bags and or vest system, it does sit on my frame at least adequately enough. But like I said, it's kind of at that max point threshold of where it can kind of sit on my frame. I mean, just for full transparency, I'm 6'2", about 255 pounds. So it's one of those things where a guy of my stature and size, while it's not the biggest guy by any regards, it's definitely kind of hitting the max threshold of what the medium vest system and the medium plate bags can kind of offer for the width of my chest, or at least length of my chest, shoulders, and everything of that regard, to be able to provide the adequate coverage of those essential vital organs, especially the heart, that they're kind of designed to provide. From here, we'll at least kind of showcase the quick doffing and donning capability with that vest system, with the actual at least clasps. Again, as I did kind of highlight, I am going to essentially replace those multicam variant ones that I did kind of rob at this present point from my Pet Tac Gear FCPC V5, and I'm going to replace them with black ones, just to kind of provide that kind of contour between the Multicam Arid and the black that's already kind of pretty predominant and featured in this setup. I do kind of like how you have that kind of separation between, kind of the browner colors, yellowers and browns of the Multicam Arid, and then just having the direct conflicting color of the black for the inseam of the harness system and stuff like that. Fit wise, like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised across the board with the overall fit. Like I said, I have done some mock dry fire and have done some mock just kind of training. I haven't really gotten the full scope of reps with this specific plate carrier system, so only time will tell how this thing fits down the line. But like I said, all things considered, I am at least genuinely fairly pleasantly surprised with the overall quality. So I could definitely say across the board that I am very excited to kind of build this plate carrier system up moving forward and kind of expand and try to challenge at least the build capability, and see if I could possibly even really load this thing up and provide this kind of a full module, like just modular like carry system. But yeah.
There we go. Thanks a lot. Come again. Hello.
I'd like to ask a few questions about this breakfast cereal.
Yeah, box of tricks.
That's right. I've been led to understand that tricks are exclusively for children. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, they say tricks are for kids in the commercials.
And is that enforced by law?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So if I purchase these tricks, there'll be no trouble?
No, you should be fine.
You do understand that I myself am not a child?
I was able to sniff that out, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to bring these back to my apartment.
Yeah, you'll be okay.
And I won't be followed.
No, that's not in our budget here.
Hey, I won't forget what you've done for me here today.
I would prefer that you do. Jesus Christ.
Alrighty guys, I hope you liked the video. Of course, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Down below, let me know what you think of today's low budget loadout, a part of the low budget loadout segment of videos that I do feature on the channel. But with all the rambling out of the way, I'll kind of highlight the same stuff that I generally highlight at the end of every video. I do have a Twitter/X. Feel free to hit the link down in the description down below if you want to follow me there. I also do have a Patreon. Feel free to hit the link down in that description down below as well if you want to contribute any sort of patronage whatsoever to the Tactical Newbie channel. Keep in mind all of the items that I do feature on the channel are 100%, self-funded by myself, with my own money, with my own job. I am not sponsored by any of these companies or any of these manufacturers, both in the at least Gucci or the knockoff clone variety. I essentially buy all of these products by myself and then provide videos for you, the viewer, so that way, at least at some point down the road, hopefully you get a little bit of information out of this from a newbie like myself to a newbie that's hopefully watching this. And hopefully down the line you can save yourself a couple dollars. But with all the rambling out of the way, I will cut this short. And with that being said, I will see you guys next week.